welcome back to a freshly squeezed episode of the Flow Skate podcast. Take your buckets off, let the hair flow, and sit back and settle in as the second round series are in full swing. The draft lottery is tonight. Another coach is currently looking for a house on Zillow. Lots of shit packings and shellackings, but before we get into all that, let's check in with our West Coast resident, the owl himself, Spencer Brown. What's up, pal?
What's up? What's up? Feeling pretty good out here in the Pacific Northwest. We're riding high after another big win last night. But yeah, another week living the dream. I'm throwing shots. I'm already throwing shots.
Yeah, I fully expected it. I didn't even watch the third period because I'm a true fan. If I would have paid money to be at the game, maybe. But I'm not watching that shit. We'll get to that later. You had to come
right here.
You had to come at me. You had to come at me hard right out of the gate, man. Like, Dallas walked into a glory hole last night. Like, they just came in.
They weren't ready. I don't know what happened.
Some dicks. Well, what happened was fucking Heiskanen took a missile to the face and Eberle scores while he's flailing on the ice. So then just...
Yeah, that's a tough one. That looks so painful.
Yeah, we'll
get there.
We'll get. That's your fucking fault. But I don't know. Speaking of faults, I don't know what this statement means when I used to think I knew. Now I don't. When a team releases a statement and releases a coach and says, "We have mutually agreed to part ways," which is what the New York Rangers and Gerard Gallant have mutually agreed upon. What does mutually agree to part ways?
I feel like this is when you know you're going to get fired, so you just like walk into the office before you get fired, and you're like, hey, before you fire me, maybe I should just resign.
Or does the office come to you and say, hey, you're a good guy, we're going to fire you, but instead of saying firing, if you agree to not cause a ruckus on the way out the door, we'll say we mutually parted ways.
Somehow I feel like it's the coach going the other way. I feel like if it's management, they're just going to fire him and move on because they don't really care, whereas he's the one trying to save face.
I just used to think I knew what that meant, and now it just gets used every single time now. I have no clue what it actually means to mutually agree to part ways. Like, who initiates, who leaves first, you know what I mean? Like, but anyways, he's out. New York's looking for a coach. No immediate replacement named. I don't know. I mean, we said Steve Ott was a fit in Calgary. I don't think that's his vibe. I don't think NYC is really a guy like Otter's vibe, but like who? And I don't want it to be just recycled. Keep recycling these coaches. Now, DeBoer worked for Dallas. I kind of wanted them to go a different way whenever they hired him, just because of it's the revolving door of the same 10 coaches in and out, in and out, in and out. I mean, but what are we looking at? Like, who are some options here?
I'm not sure. I think Chris Drury is going to kind of pull something out of left field, maybe. I don't really know who he's going to look at. I think it's going to be a name where he's going to say it, and we're all going to go, okay, yeah, I could see that. But I don't think it's really going to be anybody on your radar.
Yeah, I mean, there's really you haven't heard of any, like, big-name NCAA coaches that are looking to leave or anything like that. It's not like they can go back to a guy like David Quinn because he's in San Jose and seems to be doing well there as far as the culture. The team sucks, but that's not his fault. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see whether they wait to the end of the season to see all of the coaches that get let go and see exactly who's available. But I know there are some assistants that are very highly touted. And I don't know if this is going to be kind of the window of when we see teams making that jump to say, we're not going to keep rotating these guys. Let's go with this guy.
I
So we'll
think the
see.
young GM and kind of new management there is will kind of break that wheel. I think the younger the management teams that are coming in, I think they want something different. I mean they probably played for a lot of these coaches that get rehired. They kind of know their styles, or at least played against these coaches, so they probably don't want them just as much as we don't want to see them.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And not to say that they're not to discredit or to say that they're bad coaches. It's just it's a new wave of player, and I think
Yeah,
we as hockey fans want to see what a new wave of coaching can do with this new wave of players. Because I guarantee you, there's some innovative hockey system out there that we haven't seen, that as soon as it gets brought to the right team, it's going to be like, holy shit, what is that? And the coach is going to be like, well, it's I do this and I do that, and it's going to be like, wow, okay. So I think that's just kind of what we're all kind of waiting to see. But speaking of
yeah.
coaches,
I mean, I don't think anybody can argue he had a legitimate Stanley Cup roster and just didn't make the adjustments that he needed to. That probably someone younger, someone newer might have had some different tactics to do it. But I mean, that's kind of Gallant's thing, anyways. He hasn't been anywhere longer than 3 years, so
yeah, yeah, that's his mo. Kind of
his
come
message
in.
just gets old.
It's like Torts. He comes in, he does change the culture, but then it seems like after about 2 seasons of it, it just kind of wears thin, and his voice just kind of falls out of locker room. But I've heard great things about him from guys like Obi and things like that. They love him. But speaking of coaches, the NHL has released a lot of the finalists for some of their year-end rewards. Year-end awards. I said year-end rewards, didn't I? Holy fuck! Stay hot, Stinchy.
I mean, they
Year
probably get some year end rewards for getting their
Yeah,
year end
they're getting
awards.
some year-end rewards for sure. But the year-end awards, so it is Dave Hackstall with the Kraken, Montgomery with the Bruins, and good old Lindy Ruff with the New Jersey Devils for the Jack Adams, which is the NHL's top coach. Um, it's regardless of playoff exits, it's got to be Monty, right?
That's kind of how I feel. I think it's the comeback story, and I mean, even with the record season and all that, I think you might like. I think it's just kind of easy to give it to him. I think it makes sense, and I think it's the right thing to do. I think
Yeah,
you
because
could make
it's
an argument for Hackstall with the season Seattle had, but I think this is Monty's year.
yeah, and I think people forget that it's not it's based on the regular season. You have to take the playoffs out of the equation because that's
Hmm.
not what they factor into it. Because sometimes not everybody that gets nominated for something is on a playoff team or a contending team.
Yeah, you
I
can't
think
say
it's
they underachieved in the regular season. That's for damn sure.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to obviously be Montgomery, just like you said with the comeback story, the record settings, all those things. I just don't see there's a way he doesn't get that. Um, Another one they released is the Norris, which is the top defenseman. So the three for that are Fox, Carlson, and Makar. I do think Heiskanen got a little shafted, but nonetheless, those are three really, 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 really good defenseman. And Carlson had a hell of a year. Um, how does he not get it?
I think I mean, I think you could add Hiskinen in there. I think Fox and him just is kind of a toss up there, but I don't think it matters because I think you give it to Carlson regardless. Because what defenseman on a crappy non-playoff team gets 100 points?
Yeah,
That's nuts.
that's the one I would take out to replace Heiskanen would be Fox.
He didn't do it. I mean, it was a very quiet year for him when he won it last year, the year before, or whenever he won it.
Yeah. There's arguments, but nonetheless, yeah, Carlson to be on that shitty of a team and have that many points, over 100 points, is absolutely insane. I mean,
Nuts!
that's.
It's absolutely nuts.
But here's the question: why did it take him so long?
Burns left.
You're saying you're making the claim that Burns was taking up all the offense?
Yeah, I think there were two of the same player battling for the same spot, and San Jose was already like, "Well, Burns is our guy at this time," but then they kind of had to switch when Burns' contract came up and said, "Well, we've got our entire franchise cap on this guy, so we have to ride him now." So they let Burns go. Carlson is the guy we all thought he was going to be when he came to San Jose. and now he's got his 100 points.
Yeah, I think he gets it. I think that's a given. The Calder, top rookie, Matty Beniers, Owen Power, and Stuart Skinner. Um, I would say Beniers, right? I mean, it's kind of a toss up. I don't see. I mean, Stuart Skinner's still just weird to me. I don't think he is that good. I don't think he's that good
I don't.
yet.
Yeah, I didn't. That was
Like the
kind
All
of an
Star,
odd
the
one
All
for
Star thing
me.
was kind of weird too. I thought
Yeah.
there were other players or other goalies that maybe I just no knock on him. I mean, I'm not. That's not me talking shit. That's just me saying maybe prove it a little bit, I guess. But also I take that back. I don't watch a lot of West Coast hockey just because I'm Central Time and fucking sometimes those games start at 10 o'clock and I catch like the first 10 minutes,
Well, I mean,
so I
all you have
haven't
to do,
watched a
like the
lot of them.
Oilers win games, 7-4, 8-6. And like he's letting in goals, so I don't understand why someone would sit there and say he's rookie of the year. And I'm just gonna make the homer call and say it's Beniers because I'm a crackhead. So
Yeah, no, I'll go with that.
yeah,
I'll go with Beniers taking that one. The Selke, top defensive forward, um, Bergeron, Nico Hischier with the Devils, and Mitch Marner, which was kind of weird to me. But
yeah,
you do watch him in the defensive zone. He is a little water bugged along the boards and things like that. He gives guys
he
like
has
he's
improved his game significantly.
yeah. I would say you got to give it to Patrice. There's no way Bergeron doesn't.
I
Just
mean, he's riding
NHL
off into
rigged.
the sunset.
Yeah, NHL rigged, riding off into the sunset. We'll give it to Patrice. The lady being the top gentleman. Ooh. Jack Hughes, Anze Kopitar, and Braden Point. Um, I, you think Jackie boy? You think he fucks? I mean, you think he gets it?
I think he will get some in his career. I think you still have to give it to Kopitar. I still think he's the cleanest shutdown center in the league. He almost shut down McDavid for an entire series, and I don't think he got a penalty in the round
But
one.
does he
So,
do it in a more gentlemanly way than Jack Hughes does?
what does gentlemanly mean?
Actually, no, I take that back. You're correct because Jack Hughes fucking UFC'd the shit out of
Oh, I
somebody the
loved
other
it.
night.
I
So
love
yeah,
that.
no,
I'm
I
all
loved it
for
too.
that.
I loved it too, but it wasn't very gentlemanly. So I'll agree that Kopitar's is will take that one. And then the ones they haven't came out with the Hart MVP, obviously Ted Lindsay, which is the player's choice, not necessarily the MVP, but who the players vote for, who they thought was the best all year. The Vesna, which is the top goalie, Bill Masterton, which is the most dedicated. So we'll see. Those are coming out later this week. Spencer, remind me to touch on those whenever they do release those.
Do you think they should
Um,
start to change the names of these?
yeah, yeah, because I mean, I know who Bill Masterton was just because he's the first hockey player to die of like a hockey related injury or
See, I
whatever it
did not
was.
know that.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
why.
something I just learned right now with it coming out of your mouth.
Oh yeah. So that's why I knew that. But that's something I had to look up like a year ago or whenever I looked it up
Yeah.
was. Um, I I don't know who's Lady Bing. Was she hot?
That
You know?
Veronica Vaughn.
Yeah. Oh, oh, Lady Bing, so hot, want to touch the hiney. Like, were people saying that about Lady Bing back in the day?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
You
know
know
what you
who?
name them. The only one I know what you would like change the name is probably the Norris. You'd either make it probably the Bobby Orr and just move on.
Yeah, I think it should be the. I think it should be. I think it should be the or. Um, the Jack Adams, maybe. I mean,
The
there's.
Bowman,
Yeah, I mean,
the Scotty Bowman
that's
Award.
yeah, that's a clearly a name that comes to mind.
It at
And
least
then
resonates with this generation. I think that would get a younger crowd into these awards because I think there's probably the generation younger than us hears these and they're like, it's just an award to them because they know the name of the award, but they don't know the name behind the award.
you know what would be a great change for the? I just thought of this for the Lady Bing for top gentleman. It would be the Korea.
Yeah,
Like what a like I
yeah,
mean, I don't know how you would make that flow, but like that's the kind of player like you think about like where it's like that right in that range of like late 90s, early 2000s, Mighty Ducks era kind of thing where he's got a lot of people our age, that 24 to 38 kind of age range, like they know that. Like you
yeah.
you know Paul Curry. It's that like something like that. I
Or
mean
just name
that's
it the
interesting.
Gentlemanly Award.
The top. Good day, sir. The good day, sir.
It's a top hat and monocle as the award.
The good day, sir. But yeah. Anyways, hopefully one day they change a couple of them to be a little bit more relevant as far as in order to touch on and get a connection with the younger fan base. But let's move into our second round breakdown because there's a lot to talk about. Um, since you decided to do it, I didn't do it. You decided to do it. We'll start with fucking Dallas and Seattle. This was not my first choice. I did not want to do this early. But since we are, I want to play a game with you. I have two quotes here. One of which was not written by me at all. One of which was reassembled by me in order to fit my feelings for this particular situation. But I want to see if you can guess where both of them come from, and they're both hockey. So here's my first statement that I need to release about the Dallas Seattle game. I don't have any words, and I don't want to hear them. I am angry. I am frustrated. I am sad. Everything I am feeling, nobody gets. This isn't the ending I imagined, and certainly not the one I wanted. I thank myself for not turning it off until the third period.
I mean, that was not your words.
No, that's what I said. One of them is not my words at all, and one of them I reassembled, which that one was the one I reassembled. Do you know where that originated from?
I have no idea.
That was reassembled from Tampa Bay's statement after they got swept by Columbus when they won the President's
Oh
Trophy.
God, is that Stamkos?
No, it was just the PR team. It was like we don't have any words. We know you don't want to hear them. We know you're angry. We know you're frustrated. We know
Oh
you're sad.
God,
Yeah, yeah. So
what a
that's one.
punch in
And
the
here's
gut.
yeah, and here's the second one. I am so disappointed and disgusted right now. No pushback. There's got to be pushback. There's got to be pride. You've got to be able to push back when things aren't going your way. Their better players were so much better than ours. It's not even close.
Well, that's the Winnipeg coach. That
Yeah,
one,
that's
that one
that
I
was
know.
that. Yeah, yeah. Ding ding. That was bonuses.
Yeah.
Statements. But the first statement sums up my feelings on watching your team because it doesn't happen often in the NHL, and it doesn't happen often to my team because for the last 6 years we've been very good. Well, maybe not six. Last four or
Yeah,
five.
relevant. Yeah.
We've been very good, but the first one is just my feelings on having to watch your team get the living shit beat out of them on live television. And it's one thing to be the regular season because there's a lot of people who don't tune into the regular season. So there's a lot of people who wouldn't have even known that score or that game was a thing. But there's a lot of people who are just sports fans in general who like playoff
On a
hockey,
prime
who
time
were
Sunday night game.
on a primetime Sunday night game, who are watching the Stars, like I said, just walk into a glory hole and just drown in dicks. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. The seven dicks of the seven different goal scorers.
Yeah, they slurped all seven of those guys right up. The second one is just how it was just how the game went. There was once they scored that first goal, they panned to the Dallas bench and Pavelski was like, "Oh, we're good." And there was guys like, "Yeah, we're good," but they didn't go
Mm-mm.
out and do anything about it.
No.
They didn't go out and get pucks deep and put pressure on them. They didn't do anything, and then it was just boom, 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 one after another. They just watched them fall into the net,
Yep, they were, and
and
that, I
it
mean, that
wasn't
crowd was going, the people were going, they were feeding off the energy, and I mean, they had that game in their hands before anybody knew what was going on.
it wasn't Ottinger's fault. They
No,
literally
absolutely not. No.
they did not help him at all.
Mm-mm.
And there may a couple of them maybe were quote unquote soft, but your goalie, who is proven to be one of the best up and coming goalies in the NHL is going to have not off nights, but off minutes where there's 5 minute spans where he may let in one,
Yeah.
right? Where you have to let him know that it's okay because we're gonna go down in fucking 30 seconds, which is what they typically do and get one right back. But they just fucking shut down last night, and I turned it off because I'm a true fan. If you fucking watch that whole game, if you're a Dallas Stars fan and you watch that whole fucking game, you are not a true fan because that was disgusting.
Yeah, I think it was Hiskinen that took it off the face. I think that was too much for them. I think they all just kind of got into a bit of a funk after that and couldn't quite bounce back.
Now, by the time Heiskanen was ready to come back, the score was 5-1, so that's why DeBoer held him out, which makes
He was
sense.
going to come back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
He got stitched up and was going to come back, and then by the time he got to like DeBoer and was like, "I'm, whatever, I want to come back," DeBoer was like, "It's 5-1. Period left. I don't think it's going to get much better, to be honest, with the way they were playing." And this was not like game one. They had life in game one. The bounces just weren't going their way. So there was still hope the whole game that somebody like Pavelski or
Yeah.
just the team in general could do something like they did, and it just ended up not going our way. This game, there was clear signs that there was no fucking pushback, and there was not
they had no
going to be
energy.
any fucking pushback.
There was no
It was
energy on that bench.
crazy.
But
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was crazy.
I will give some props to Pavelski because we haven't had an episode since he decided that he was going to have a 4-goal night and just have his way with wizardry with his stick and tipping pucks out of the air. Those goals were absolutely bonkers.
That was actually my next note on the series is Captain America himself.
Oh my, those goals those are not tip pucks. Those are directed pucks to top corners.
Yeah, he knows he's not batting pucks out of the air going, "Oh, I hope this goes somewhere." He's batting pucks out of the air going top left, top right,
It's
mid bot.
nuts.
Like it's crazy.
Absolutely bonkers what he's doing.
172 career playoff games, 69 goals,
Nice.
62 assists for 69, 62 assists for 131 total points and a plus minus of +4. He's a Hall of Famer, right? I mean, that's not even a question, right?
I think it is a question because
Really? Because he doesn't have a cup?
he doesn't even have a gold medal, does he?
No, he's got a silver medal.
Yeah, so I don't know if being yes, he is playoff hockey. He shows up when he needs to. But has he shown up when he really needs to? I don't know. I don't know if it is it's at least not first ballot Hall of Fame.
I kind of disagree.
It's hard. I have a really hard time saying that being a San Jose Kraken fan.
All right. So we'll just move it there then, because that is a hard question. But let me give you another brain buster. Will he be remembered as a star or a shark?
Ooh.
When he decides to retire.
And I will clarify my last comment. I am a San Jose Kraken fan, as I am split between my San Jose Sharks and the Seattle Kraken. I did not just make a brain fart. But I don't know, because I think he gets remembered as a star. Unfortunately, it kind of pains me to say it, but I think we have Marlowe and Thornton to be remembered as Sharks, and I think he's still relevant enough in Dallas to be remembered as a star.
The thing is, what people who don't live in Dallas understand about Joe Pavelski is he has got major roots in the city.
Yeah.
Like since he's lived here, like his family has really settled in. His kids play for the Dallas Stars Elite, so he's at these rinks all the time. It's cost of living is very cheap. You know what I mean? Like it's not a bad golf year round, and he's a stick. He's probably one of the best, if not considered the best golfer in the NHL.
Yeah, look at his hand-eye coordination.
Now, I just personally think like when I'm not saying he's going to stay in Dallas. I'm just saying with the kind of roots that he's kind of put down in the city and the presence that he has in the city currently, I think when he retires and he hangs him up, that Dallas ceremony is going to hit a little different than the Shark ceremony. I just think it is.
I would agree, unless his second career is in the front office of the Sharks, because I think he might end up in someone's front office. So if he does go back to San Jose for that, then it could change that argument.
Yeah, I don't know if he would go back to a San Jose front.
I'm just saying,
Dallas.
maybe a Marlo Pavelski front office,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
the
Well.
next
Okay. Well.
generation. But
Speaking.
I just think he has a career left in hockey. So his next generation or the next life in hockey, depending on where that is, could change our opinion on where he gets remembered for.
True. True. But speaking of Patrick Marleau, let's talk about a team that he won't really get remembered for playing for, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're dead in the water,
Did they remember
and
that one playoff win doesn't get them the Stanley Cup?
no. And I kind of have a hot take for you, and I want to get your take on this.
Ooh.
If this were me, if I were Kyle Dubas, first of all I wouldn't give a fuck because I'm probably out the door anyways. If I were Kyle Dubas, I wouldn't even ask Shanahan, and I would fucking tell Keefe to pack his fucking bags and get the fuck out, and I would just let the assistants run it and just see if the team fucking backs them. See if that's the spark because
I don't think
it
he's got
doesn't
the
fucking
authority
matter.
because he's going to be on the plane right next to him.
Then you know what? Brandon Shanahan has got to fucking step in.
I think
He's gotta
Shanahan just
fucking
goes
step
down
in
to
and
the
do
bench
something.
and coaches it himself.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Fucking tell Dubas you can sit in the press box if you want, but more than likely after this season we're gonna mutually agree to part ways. And I'm fucking canning Keefe now, and I'm going down to the bench and I'm fucking doing this shit myself, kind of like a Rod Brindamore kind of vibe. Like get Shanny down there, fucking little toughness.
They're just it's
Austin
just bad. Like it's just
Austin
bad.
Matthews is going to be doing his best Mista, get me out of here impression if they don't not figure this out. Like, if they don't win a cup next year, he's gone.
I mean, they've got a clear house. I think they're both gone. I think Keith and Dubas are gone. I think Shanahan's got to bring in his own brain trust there and new coach because something's just not working. He's got the team, and I don't really understand. It just seems like Dubas has dug his feet in on Heath. He's like, no, I'm not going to say I'm wrong. We're eventually going to win a cup, and they just don't do it.
And that's the weird thing about Dubas is he deep down, I don't think he's the problem because he has made a lot of really good moves and he is so good with analytics that he's able to manipulate this cap in ways that I mean, I've never seen
for sure.
him
He's made great moves as a GM, other than not firing the coach that year in and year out has not done it for you.
That's what I'm saying. I've never seen a GM dick twist the salary cap the way Kyle Dubas dick twists the salary cap and just hold on to the right testicle that does absolutely nothing for you in the process of producing semen that latches onto eggs and then creates babies.
Isn't this a hockey podcast?
Listen. I'm just saying.
What just happened?
I don't understand. I don't understand what the fuck his problem is. That's why he's gonna be gone.
No, he's
you
got
get
to
rid
go.
of him
I
and you
don't.
get rid of Keefe. Brandon Shanahan has to just reshape that entire organization, but he has to do it in a way where it's not rebuilding players. And he re-signs guys
He's
like
got the
O'Reilly
roster.
and things
He
like that.
absolutely has. I mean, he might not have the goalie, and we've argued this for years that that's probably Toronto and Edmonton's Achilles heel is they just won't bring in a top name goalie and want to grow it from within, which is fine. But you still need a goalie to win championships. But they just I don't know. He hasn't made the adjustments. He hasn't got them going. He hasn't had the fire. He hasn't gotten them to get out of the first rounds his entire career until this one, and now they're almost going to get swept out of the second.
Yeah, that is one area where you could say he didn't kind of put money into was the goaltending. He shoved money all around and at different free agents and at different veterans to bring in but he never really did it for a goaltender, which was weird. And clearly coming back to bite them. The other thing is, when I watched that All or Nothing on Amazon, I was not a fan of
No,
Keith. I just got this vibe like I
he
just
just
didn't
seemed
like.
like kind of
I
arrogant in a way, and it just didn't feel like it fit the vibe of the locker room.
I don't think he's I don't think they
Mm-mm.
respond to him. I don't think they play for him. And I like, we didn't play in the NHL, but we've been in enough locker rooms to know like to be a fly on the wall in a locker room and go,
Something's off.
I don't know, because I wouldn't
He just
like
seems
that. You know
like
what I
one of
mean?
those
Like it
coaches.
was
Like
like
he walks out of the room and all his players just like snicker about him.
or he's the coach that he wants to be too involved, and you're like, Coach, it's fucking our ping pong tournament.
Yeah,
Get
he's like,
bent.
"Where
Like,
am
you know what I
I in the
mean? Like,
ping
go
pong
home. Like,
bracket,
see your
boys?" And you're
family.
like, "Nah, players'
Yeah, like
voice
see your
speaking,
family.
coach."
Like, I don't like fucking. This is for the boys. Like, get the fuck out of here. But
But
yeah,
stick taps to
whatever. But if
Florida.
they
I
don't
mean,
figure
I
it
think
out,
Florida and Seattle are probably the
yeah,
most underrated teams of the playoffs. Everyone just kind of counted them out, and they're just keep chugging along. Uh, Bennett and Bennett and Kachuk are playoff hockey. Like I think those two guys are just built to just beat teams and put pucks in the net.
yeah. I mean, nobody, including myself, has given Florida enough
No.
credit at all. Bobby is finally starting to look like the $10 million man that he is. Um, it's like a weird Carlson vibe. Like it took
Mm-hmm.
him a while to kind of figure out like where he like what he was
He got
supposed to
his net. I
do,
mean,
and then all of a sudden
we'll
this.
say, prayers and thoughts to Spencer Knight, and he's figuring out what he needs to figure out. But he got his net back. There was nobody knocking on the back door saying, "I'm trying to take your net."
Do you think that's what it? Do you? Okay, so here's the thing. They say this about NFL quarter. I would say NFL quarterbacks are almost eerily similar to goalies in the NHL.
Ooh, interesting comparison, but I like it.
They're always a little more quirky, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of rules around them in which they're a little bit more protected, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can and can't do certain things as far as when you're near them and things like that. Now, they always say that NFL quarterbacks healthy competition is good. They don't
I
really
don't think it
make.
is though.
I
It
don't think it
doesn't do
is.
the quarterback any good to look over their shoulder the same way I don't think it does a goalie any good to be like, "Oh, that's the guy who's going to take my job."
I think that, and I think you're exactly right. I think that's a clear. I think this is a clear sign of it because they're so similar. You ask really any NFL coach, from what I know, they'll be like, "Yeah, healthy competition. It's just going to make a guy play better." But does it? Because for a position very similar, where we say it all, you say it like people say it all the time. Defense wins championships in the NFL, but you have to have a competent quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
There have been NHL teams to win Stanley Cups with not a stud in net, but a very competent number one
Mm-hmm.
goaltender, right? With all the, I don't think healthy competition is as
No, I mean
healthy
only
as
one
we
guy
say
gets
it
the
is.
net. One guy gets the net,
Yeah,
one guy gets to play, and that's it. And the other guy's just sitting there watching. It's not like other positions, whether it's football, hockey, soccer, and baseball, basketball, where there's guys rotating in, and other guys get a chance to shine. If you don't shine in the time you get as a goalie, you're sitting there for games on end, seeing another guy take your job. So I think him being in there and not having some, yeah, they have a good number two, but it's not anybody that he's got to worry about. Oh, they're going to take this guy to the playoffs. He knows it's his net.
yeah. I mean, that's the I 100% agree with you on that take on that. Here's my last 3 points on Florida and why they're doing so well. Brandon Montour has turned into easily, I would say, a top five defenseman in the
Yeah,
NHL. He like us like somebody who looks like they will be up for Norris's in the years to come.
yeah,
With guys like Moritz Seider, whenever he turns into what he's going to turn into, guys like Owen
mm-hmm.
Power, guys like Luke Hughes, like these new kind of younger wave of defensemen that are really going to start shining. He is incredible. And god damn, he's a man rocket. Have you noticed that? He takes his helmet off, and
yeah,
I'm like 6 to midnight. Like he's fucking good looking.
yep,
But he's plus minus plus nine, and or I'm sorry, he's got 9 points, and he's a plus minus three on the playoffs. I mean, that's great numbers you
yeah,
want from your defenseman. Carter Verhaeghe, I think, would be a six man of the year if he were an NBA player. He does so much for a
yeah,
guy that they like from a guy that you wouldn't think would fill that kind of big role that he's filled. You know what I mean? He does, especially in the playoffs. Like he's the guy in the NBA that's come off the bench and scored 15 and had the dagger three at the end of the game. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just that's
he's
just
taking his
he's just
opportunity
been
to
clutch.
another level. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing it.
And then the last point I have on Florida is, and I have to give him credit, is Anthony Duclair brings so much like life and fire and energy to the team, and I want to shout out him because he's a guy who bet on himself by representing himself during his biggest like free agency period. I think in the one of the biggest times in his career, he didn't
Hmm.
get an agent, and everyone said he was stupid, but he kept kind of betting on himself and kept kind of snagging these 1 year deals for a decent amount of money. And I think he's really kind of found his niche in Florida with the way he plays and that style. I think he's a really driving force behind the attitude of that team.
His career's been so strange because he goes places. He has these moments of greatness where you see what the player he could be, and it just seems like he just gets buried for no reason. Like he doesn't do anything to get, and then it just seems like all of a sudden the coach just stops liking him. And yeah, it seems like he's gotten to Florida and just has absolutely found his place, somebody, a team, an organization that lets him thrive. And I don't think anybody's having as much fun scoring goals as he is in the playoffs. That team's just fun to watch and looks like they are just loving it for the boys and are just absolutely having a blast.
Yeah, no, he scores. It's he gets me for like I want to throw my remote through the window.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Speaking of fired up, New Jersey came out with the fire lit under their ass, and here's the thing: I give myself fucking brain freezes trying to figure out New Jersey, and I haven't eaten a popsicle in like a week and a half. When I crushed a whole box of Nerds ones, they make Nerds popsicles. Did you know that?
I did not.
Fire.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
fucking
man.
fire.
All right.
But I just give myself brain freezes trying to think about what this team is because they go 2 games looking like they have no clue what the fuck they're doing, and then they put up a touchdown and convert on the 2 pointer.
Yeah. I don't. This series is just wild. It just feels like whoever can play their consistent game the most wins. And they just, I don't know, they could not find their game those first 2 games.
That one of those games, one of those first 2 games, they wouldn't have beat fucking HC Tel Aviv. I'll tell you that fucking much right now.
No.
That's how fucking bad they looked.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's an exciting series at least. It's been fast. It hasn't been super physical, but a lot of goals. But it just feels like neither team can really grasp either. Kind of grab the reins on it.
Yeah, and I think these are the 2 main points on this series is Jack Hughes is so fucking good, and he continues to prove that he's going to be an elite player in this league for a very long time. He went top titty from the right-hand side so easily. It
Yeah,
was like a flick of the wrist
yeah.
so easily. After Nason already got a piece of it, shout out Nason, Dallas boy.
No, he's the
But
modern
after
day
he,
St. Louis. Like he buzzes around. You're like, oh, he's small. He's going to get rocked, and he finds his way around. He finds his spots, and he just absolutely snaps the biscuit.
yeah, that's a main point of the series. And the other main point of the series is it's more of a question is why do fucking teams still trust Freddie Anderson to lead them to the promised land?
I don't know. I don't get it.
We have seen it 2 times before this with Anaheim and Toronto. It does not
They
work.
pay the man, and he has proven nothing.
And you hear interviews with NHL players about like, oh man, like in practice this and practice that, or I've never seen a goal like he's so good if he could just stay healthy. Well, he fucking can't, and
Yeah,
he
we talking about
proves he's
practice?
not that good. He
Talking
proves
about
all the time
practice?
he's actually not that fucking good,
Yeah,
which is exactly what he did in Anaheim, which is what he did in Toronto. Yeah, he had some injuries, but fucking A. At some point, if you're good, you're good. I don't give a fuck. If you're that injured, retire like Ben Bishop fucking did.
yeah, yeah.
Because
No,
I mean, it's just I don't understand why teams and Carolina is very similar to Toronto, and until they fucking find a true number 1 goalie, they will not get over the hump, and I'm convinced by that.
yeah, no. Goaltending wins championships.
I mean,
Simply
it
said.
really does. It really does. Which, speaking of goaltending wins championships, the last series to talk about here, which worries me for both of these teams, is Edmonton and Vegas. Edmonton with Stuart Skinner and Vegas with Brisbois. The key for Vegas is can they stop McDavid and Draisaitl? Because here's some keys here. Okay, Stone has 11 points in the playoffs. Eichel has 7 points. Pietrangelo has 6 points. Carlson has 6 points. McDavid has 17 points. Draisaitl has 15 points. Bouchard has 15 points. And Hyman has 9 points. So Edmonton's fourth leading goal scorer in the playoffs would be almost tied for Vegas's first leading goal scorer, which is a fucking problem.
Yeah. I mean Vegas's biggest issue is they've been in the box and they're giving Edmonton power plays, and when you have a power play that's snapping it at 50%, which is absolute insanity numbers, you're gonna get just beat.
Yeah, and the other thing with that is not only those guys putting up points, but then you have Nugent Hopkins, who provides a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
I think he's got 6 points. So it's like one of those guys takes a night off, and it's like, well, Nugent's right there to get you a couple apples. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, you got fucking Evander Kane running around out there like a menace to society, causing lots of problems for a lot of people, gut punching Keegan Colasar like he was playing whack-a-mole. I mean,
Did you hear
those
his
are.
interview on that?
No, I did not. What did he say?
Fuck around and find out. That's literally what he said to the mic. I was like, they're like, oh, we saw you giving a lot of body shots. I didn't even want to say on that. He goes, fuck around and find out. And I was like,
he
damn.
he looks like he's a little bit rejuvenated, kind of after.
I mean, just like Duclair, he found a place too. I mean, I don't think that any of us are going to argue he was kind of a locker room cancer in a lot of the places that he's been. He's had a lot of issues off the ice that are, documented, undocumented, discussed, undiscussed, whatever you want to talk about. But Edmonton has really just kind of stuck by him and given him a place to thrive where he doesn't have to be the guy, but he can play his game.
I was going to touch on the off ice part. Sportsnet did a interview recently with him. It's on YouTube. It's about 13 minutes long, where he really opens up about like what was actually going on, and he kind of really touches on a big part of his problem was that a lot of people in his life wanted him to fail, so it perpetuated a lot of these issues, and it was kind of like, which makes sense, right? When you've got people who you thought
Mm-hmm.
you could trust who are now wanting to see you fail in order to maybe gain financially, the different reasons, different things, right? That takes a big toll on you.
Yeah.
And I think what I was going to say is I think him doing interviews like that and kind of opening up about really the good and the bad of what was actually going on has probably felt like a big weight is lifted off his shoulders, and that he can actually just be in Edmonton and be comfortable now and not have to A, hide any of this, and B, he can be himself, and he's with clearly a team that loves him, and plays for him. So good on him. For looks like taking steps in the right direction as far as clearing his name and becoming a better person and teammate and all those things. And usually it takes Edmonton, I was going to say it takes Edmonton a game to feel out and kind of stalk their prey, and then they just close in for the kill like they did LA. Like LA won 2 games, but when you look at some of those scores and some of those series, rigged or not rigged, they put up numbers on them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of looks like what they're doing with Vegas. It kind of looks like Vegas blew them out of the water, but it almost looked like Edmonton was like just feeling them out, and then came out game 2 and was like, here you go.
I mean, okay, so here's a weird question. It's a complete hypothetical. They win the cup this year. Who do you think's the Conn Smythe? Is it McDavid or Draisaitl?
Draisaitl.
Okay, good. I'm at least glad we're on the same page, so we don't have to argue about it. I mean, that dude is a man among boys right now.
I mean, we can argue. You want me to go? You want me to go McDavid?
No, because I still think I'll win. But I mean, he's playing a different game, and so is McDavid. But it just seems like he's the game breaker right now.
Oh, 100. That's what I brought up the other week on one of the episodes was when McDavid is not there, and there are games when he's not there because of different reasons, whether being shut down or whether extra guys are on him or whatever. Draisaitl is pumping in points still. That's the reason there's 17-15.
And he's the one that's getting them started, too.
He's the conductor of the train almost. He's the choo-choo.
Yeah. he's scoring in the first period. He's getting, assists. He's snapping around. But I mean, they're both just playing. They're
Yeah,
playing
it's
a
it's
different game.
it's it's fun to watch actually. But the goaltending for both those teams when they move on from this series worries me. But
Suspect.
last thing we need to get to, and the draft lottery is tonight. The NHL draft lottery. The
The Bedard sweepstakes.
Connor Bedard sweepstakes. This kid is nasty. I've been watching him for years on YouTube since he was playing like select AAA hockey in Canada and things like that. When he was playing against like Matthew Savoy, I don't know if you know who that is. He's a Buffalo draft
Mm-hmm.
pick. He'll be coming in within the next couple of years, and he's going to be filthy as well. Um, but I've been watching Bedard for a long time. There's no way he does not go number one. I would say Fantilli is the clear cut number two. But it's not
Yeah,
a question this year. Some years there are questions. It is like Shane Wright and Slavkovsky, but this year is not a question. It's not a question at all. Here
not
Here's what
even
we're looking at.
close.
The Anaheim Ducks have a 18.5% chance, the best overall odds at getting Connor Bedard. They have Troy Terry, who is a restricted free agent this season. They have Trevor Zegras, who is still on a rookie deal, and they have Mason McTavish, who is still on a rookie deal. You add Bedard into that mix, that it's also in California. The weather is nice. They golf year round. The boys are playing tennis. The boys are fucking. They're doing their thing. It's a good vibe. I like that vibe for Bedard.
Well, I mean, clearly, as my San Jose Kraken fandom, I have to say I would love to see him in teal at our 9.5% in the fourth, the fifth slot there. Just so you're saying there's a chance,
Yeah, that's the
but
definition of so you're
if
saying there's a chance.
but if I take my fandom out of it, I think really I would like to see him on the Ducks. I think he would be a good fit in that core group of guys. I think it would be exciting. I think it would also be a team where it wouldn't be tough for him to step right into their lineup and not feel like he's stepping on anybody's toes or and kind of getting the chances and the reps that he's going to need to become the NHL player that everyone's expecting
Oh
him to
yeah,
be.
because Terry, Zegras, and McTavish are just gonna pump the shit out of those tires, and he's gonna feel like he's on top of the world day one. Blue Jackets, the Columbus Blue Jackets have the second best odds at 13.5%. Johnny Hammond Cheese, he is signed through 2029. Patrick Laine is signed through 2026. Boone Jenner is their captain, and Zach Werenski is signed through 2028. That is their core group of guys that are going to be there for the foreseeable future. I just hate him going there because it's Columbus. I hate I,
I do
I
too.
hate that for him.
I mean, from a growing the hockey
Oh
game
fuck
standpoint, it's
that.
probably
Fuck that.
yeah.
Who the
See,
fuck wants to live in
it would
Columbus?
probably be good for him to go to Columbus so that there's eyes in Columbus and people actually give a shit about Columbus again. But no,
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I don't want it to happen. I don't think it's good for the NHL. Please, please,
I just have a
no.
bad feeling it's gonna I just have a bad feeling it's gonna happen, but I
What if he'll refuse to go? He just gets drafted and just won't even go to stage.
yeah, he plays another year of juniors and then re-enters the draft.
Yeah, say no, thank
Yeah.
you.
Then third best odds are the Chicago Blackhawks, 11.5%. They're really two only players are Seth Jones. Shout out another kid who played AAA hockey down here with me in Dallas. He's signed through 2030, and then Caleb Jones, obviously his brother is on his rookie deal. So I mean, other than that, there's no core in Chicago. So it's like, yeah, it'd
Yeah.
be cool
He'd
for
be he'd be restarting his franchise, and I just don't think it's a good situation. I think the expectations would be too high for him
him
there.
buzzing around in a Blackhawks uniform, just that classic look is a fun thought. But the fact that he can't be the guy yet.
No, I mean, I then we're looking at him 5, 6 years out of looking at the playoffs. I don't think that's good for the NHL and
No,
good
they'll rig the shit out of
for
this.
him.
No,
It
NHL.
just I think it's just not a good fit for his career.
If they've rigged anything, they need to rig the fucking tonight to where he goes to the Ducks because that's probably the best for the game, to be honest with you. But the Sharks come in at 9.5%. They have Couture through 2027, Carlson through 2027, and Hurdle through 2030. No. Spencer, no. No.
I think it would be a good team for him to go into with good veterans to learn from. I just don't think that's the right place for him to
Yeah, it's
land.
just not. Maybe David Quinn's a good coach for him, and he'd have a guy like Gadjevich to
Yeah,
fight for him and to protect him. But it's just not fun. It's not fun.
exactly. It's not a fun pick.
It's not fun.
I think it would be good for him growing, good for his structure, good for all these it would just be good, but it's just not fun.
Not fun. It's not fun.
It's
It's
not
no
exciting. And then
fun.
it
It's not
also brings the argument
exciting.
of the Sharks are, 3-4 years out of the playoffs, and I think you want Bedard on at least a fringe team at the very worst.
Yeah.
A team that's going to be almost in the playoffs in the next year or two, or in the playoffs. So
Yeah, if the Ducks
I don't
add
think
a
it's
couple
good
pieces
for the
on if the
form.
Ducks add a couple pieces on defense, and keep kind of building, they could are looking at being one of those teams here in the next
Yeah,
few years that are
they've got goaltending and they've got goal scoring. They just don't necessarily have the strong defensive core that they need.
yeah. And then the Canadians at 8.5%, the Coyotes at 7.5%, which holy what a what a massive massive fuck job by the Phoenix Coyotes.
They mushed themselves.
Your one fucking hope was that, because here's the thing, you would pack Mullet. We've been there. We went to a game there. You would pack that place whether you went 0-82 or
Hmm.
82-0. It wouldn't fucking matter. That place was nuts, and they didn't give a fuck what the score was. They fucked themselves so hard. Their
Yeah,
only chance at staying in Arizona was getting the number one, getting the lottery, getting Bedard, building around that kind of, as they're fucked now. They're the Houston oil drillers, whatever the
yeah.
fuck they're gonna be. I don't know, but they're gonna be in Houston, and they fucked themselves. They're
He would
morons.
have looked good in the Kachina jersey, but
They're
yeah,
fucking stupid, dude.
they
I
decided to win games.
if
You
I'm
had
that
one job,
if I'm that
one
owner,
job.
I go down there and I call a team meeting, and I take everybody's phones, and I take all forms of electronics, and I fucking scan the room, and I sit everybody down, and I say, you fucks win a game, you're out.
Yeah,
You like living here, you like playing golf year round, you get with the program and do enough to win some, and fucking I'll get you a membership at the nicest fucking country club in Scottsdale. You'll be sitting pretty. But you fucking win games, I'm canning your ass. I mean, what the fuck?
yeah. I don't know what they were thinking.
Fucking morons. Flyers at 6.5%, Caps at 6%, Detroit at 5%. We're really, to be honest with you, only looking at probably the Ducks, Blue Jackets, Blackhawks, and Sharks as the main four
Yeah,
teams that actually have a chance at getting him. Weird things happen, but I've never seen anything that weird happen with my own two eyes. I hope it's the Ducks. I just have a funny feeling it's gonna be fucking Columbus.
oh, that would be so painful.
Yeah. Just images of Michael Scott when Toby comes back and he thinks everyone's picking him. No,
No,
yeah,
no, no,
no, dear
no.
God, no. That's exactly what is going to be happening in my apartment if he gets drafted to
Uh,
Columbus. That is where we will end it, though. There is a lot going on. We have a lot more to talk about later this week. We will get back at things, but we appreciate the continued support. That is the Flowscape podcast. Hope you have a wonderful week watching hockey. We will get back to you in a little bit.